It is now 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 23rd. No, it's not. April 23rd, 2025, and the Carmel-by-the-Sea City Council will call this special budget meeting to order. City Clerk, would you please give us a roll call?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Pritchard.
Here.
Councilmember Moreau.
Here.
Councilmember Morgan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Blessing.
Here.
Mayor Norman.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Gallagher. Councilmember Pritchard, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now go to public appearances. Members of the public are entitled to speak on matters of municipal concern not on the agenda during public appearances. Each person's comments shall be limited to 3 minutes or as otherwise established by the chair. Matters not appearing on the agenda will not receive action at this meeting and may be referred to staff. Persons are not required to provide their names, and it is helpful for speakers to state their names so they may be identified in the minutes of the meeting. If you'd like to comment on a topic that is not on the agenda, please step forward to the podium. Anyone can come up.
Never mind, I don't need to be. Am I on? Oh, yeah. Hi, I am Aubrey Powers. I am a teacher at Carmel High School, and I just wanted to inform and invite the council to our open house that we have every year at Carmel High School. It is tomorrow. It's called Empty Bowls. It is a community event in which you could come to the Carmel High School art show. You can purchase a bowl for $20. All the funds raised go to the Monterey County Food Bank. And so if any of you would like to attend tomorrow evening at Carmel High School at 5 o'clock, please come. That is all.
Thank you.
Mayor Norman, members of the City Council, my name is Graham Robertson from the Carmel Residents Association. I'd like to invite you all to our annual meeting on May 15th, 5:30 in the afternoon at the Carmel Youth Center. So we'd appreciate it if you'd all show up, no charge, and we'd look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Brown, do you have anything to say? Do you want to talk about the mock trial group?
I'll be very honest and tell you, I thought this was a mock trial. I didn't recognize you. So the mock trial kids, as well as you, are so sophisticated. When I was your age, I was a brat, and everybody I knew was a brat. But you're so sophisticated, and that's so impressive. It makes Carmel High very proud. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The what? Would the IT team like to come up and talk about how they're going to fix the microphones?
The mics work great. That's not the issue with this technology, but thank you for your comment and your question, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. We will now move to item 1 on the agenda. Consider adopting resolution number 2025-1 to authorize a budget adjustment in the amount of $315,000 with specific expenditures to be determined by the council. At the end of the staff presentations, we will open public comment on this agenda item. City Administrator Galley, would you like to present this item to council?
Thank you, Mayor. As Mayor Norman stated, we have a $315,000 budget surplus to allocate for projects. We will hear from our esteemed staff as they have put together ways to put the money to use for the betterment of our village.
We will hear from our first presenter today, Sophie Weaver, as our Information Technology Manager.
Thank you, Council. My name is Sophie Weaver, and I am the Information Technology Manager. Thank you. So the issue at hand that I will be talking about today is the limited parking in Carmel, and my proposal to this issue is to make parking monitors on the street corners or underneath the spots to better track the parking in Carmel. There would be a parking website added onto the existing Carmel website, and you will be able to check the available parking spots in real time in Carmel-by-the-Sea. So the website, as I stated before, will be added to the existing Carmel website, and it will look a little something like the photo on the right. Available spots will have green rectangles to indicate that they're available, and taken spots will have red rectangles to indicate that they are taken. The materials needed for this project would be the sensors. There are 2 different types of sensors which we could install for this project. One would be ones on street corners, which scan both sides of the street and scan for empty spots without cars in them. And the second type, which would require more installment, I guess, would be the sensors underneath the parking spaces. The overall cost of this project would roughly be $40,000 for the sensors, another $2,000 for the website, and the install of the sensors would cost another $18,000 for $60,000 total. Oh, there should be a questions slide, sorry.
Okay, does the council have any questions?
Yeah, so I was wondering how tourists would be able to find this website and use it to its full potential.
So the advertising for this would be going up around Carmel-by-the-Sea. We could put flyers on the street corners or up on billboards or anything. It would basically just have like an incentive to say like, oh, you can go to the parking website and see for available spots. Locals would probably already know about it if we did install this, but tourists obviously wouldn't, so it would be good to like have that around for them to see. Any more questions?
I have one.
Yes.
How long would the system take to update, and how would that be affected by like slow Wi-Fi or loss of internet access?
Yeah, so the loss of internet access, obviously if the power was out or internet was down or anything, the sensors would not be able to update to the website, but on a normal day, the sensors would be directly tethered to the website. So in real time, if it does sense a spot is open, then it will just update the website when it senses that. Yes.
I have a question. So I know recently in Carmel, a lot of the corner spots were all taken away. How do you suspect we'll be able to kind of keep these parking spots like updated with potential changes in parking and losing spots like we did?
Are you asking like, how would we detect if that was an open spot or not?
More specifically, say if we were to lose more spots, like more city corners around, how do you think that would affect like this and either having those sensors already installed or getting them out?
Yeah, so if we have the ones on the ground, the sensors on the ground, we could easily just uninstall them and then update the website. So those sensors would not be able to like be a parking spot anymore, and they would also update on the website. So it would just not show any parking space there. But if they were the street corner ones, you could easily just go in and like recode it so it would not be able to sense that spot. Any more questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I know that some parking spots have different time limits. Will the sensors be able to depict those different time limits on the website?
like if the person is parking there for an amount of time that they're not
Yes,
supposed
say
to.
they're going to look for a 2-hour parking spot versus a 30-minute one. Will it demonstrate that on the website?
Yeah, I'm sure it would. There could be like areas where there are like different categories of parking spots, and even if you wanted, like I'm sure you could probably search for the parking spot that you would need if you're planning on staying there for longer. There could be different categories like all-day parking, 2-hour parking, 1-hour parking, depending on what you wanted.
Just one last one. Do you know the installation time? Like how long would it take to put all the sensors in? Would that be one continuous process or would it be in stages?
So it would depend on the type of sensors that we decide on using. The sensors that are installed in the ground would probably take longer because you need each individual one per spot. That's why I was also suggesting the street corner sensors would be easier to put in, but they would also be more expensive because the technology is more advanced with those ones. But the street corner sensors would be much easier to install because it's just one thing on the street corner sensing 2 different streets. So, thank you. Any more questions? Oh, yeah.
What would be the price difference between the one that would be in the ground and then the corner ones?
They would both be the same because the amount of smaller sensors on the ground, they cost less, but we would have to have more in quantity. And the ones on the street corners, they would cost more because of the advanced technology, but we would also have less of them. So it kind of evens out. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will hear from Jada Sharat, our finance manager.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, my name is Jada Sherritt and I am excited to propose an idea for how we can use a small portion of the city's $315,000 surplus to create something meaningful, fun, and community-centered. It's called Bi-Weekly Beach Bonfire Nights at Carmel Beach. So, what exactly is a bonfire night? Think of it like our local version of the farmer's market, but instead of produce, it's firelight, music, and sunsets. This event would be hosted bi-weekly by the City of Carmel, located south of 8th Avenue on Carmel Beach, per city regulations. Locals and tourists of all ages could come together to enjoy cozy fires, delicious treats, live music, and sunset views. What would it actually look like? Picture fire pits surrounded by cozy blankets and people roasting s'mores under the stars, live acoustic music or beachside jazz from local artists curated with help from the Sunset Center, games like spike ball, cornhole, limbo, and frisbee set up on the sand, and occasional themed dress codes nights like sunset colors. To truly ground this in Carmel, we'd partner with businesses like Carmel Bakery and Cottage of Sweets to provide pre-made s'mores kits, fresh cookies, brownies, and hot cocoa, all of which would absolutely fly off the tables. We would also partner with the Sunset Center to help book local musicians, whether it's soft guitar covers, original music, or smooth jazz to set the tone for a relaxed night. Last but not least, we would also like to partner with Folktale Winery and Vineyard to host a small wine tasting area for the adults, offering 2 to 3 featured wines per night, with rotating selections to keep things fresh, plus optional charcuterie boxes for a little beachside snack. Optional food truck vendors like Big Sur Taco could rotate in just like they do at the Mid-Valley's Farmers Market. Keeping Carmel clean and green is a must. We'd use biodegradable materials wherever possible and sell or encourage reusables such as cups, utensils, napkins, etc. We could also offer small discounts or raffle entries for anyone who brings their own reusable items, and after each event, we'd host a beach cleanup and offer community service hours for high school students working toward graduation requirements. We could also collaborate with groups like CHS Environmental Club, CHS Marine Biology Club, and Eco Carmel, a beautiful shop that is filled with practical and eco-friendly gifts and everyday items to help promote environmental awareness. And everybody's favorite, let's talk numbers. Each event would cost around $250, covering trailer rentals, public works wages, and basic setup costs. That totals to roughly $6,000 per year, less than 2% of our $315 surplus. Obviously, this means that we could keep these bonfires going for over 50 years with this, it's just the current surplus, or we could use this as a light annual expense that allows the rest of the surplus to go toward critical infrastructure projects like restroom expansion, a problem that Carmel-by-the-Sea is actually facing today. In conclusion, this isn't just about bonfires, it's about community connection in Carmel. It's a simple, smart, and sustainable way to bring people together while supporting small businesses, showcasing local talent, and reinforcing our city's values. Any questions?
Thank you. Does the council have any questions? Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure that you're aware that there are some people in the community that are not the biggest fans of bonfires, whether that's the noise that they bring or just the smell of smoke. So if there is a bad reaction to those certain aspects of it, what is your plan to respond to these things? Like, are you considering compensations, or how are you going to address that issue?
Well, I feel that it is a public space, so I feel like as long as people aren't being out of hand, and if they are, that would be handled at the actual event. If people are getting too loud or just acting inappropriately, then they would be asked to leave and stuff.
Thank
you. How would you ensure that the noise pollution from these bonfires doesn't disturb nearby residents?
Well, it is bi-weekly, so it wouldn't be as common. It could be moved to monthly. That would also lower expenses and stuff, but I don't think it's that much of a problem, in my opinion.
I have a question. I was wondering if the total cost of this event does include the cleanup services, and how will you combat the pollution concern?
Pollution concern, that would be handled, like I said, partnering with like Eco Carmel and stuff like that. So it's more like reusable and biodegradable resources. And then in terms of just like picking up after ourselves, I would hope our community is good at that, but some people aren't, obviously, like tourists. So that would be combated by like the beach cleanup I was talking about. Like a lot of high school students like ourselves need community service hours, and it's an easy way to get those. So.
Just a quick question, but first of all, I want to say I really like this idea. I think you did a great job. How will other local businesses and companies be able to involve themselves in this bi-weekly event?
I feel like as it hopefully grows, it will gain more attention, and I feel that it will become sort of like the farmers market, where more people will want to join and get more attention and like publish their businesses per se. So I feel like as it grows, more people will be more interested.
I just have one. So how are the businesses incentivized to come? Is this just like a volunteering, like businesses want to come and they're allowed to, or do they get a percentage of the funds, or is there another way that they are sort of allowed to be involved?
So in terms of profitability, the people who say I wanted to go buy a pre-made s'mores package kit, I would buy that directly from Carmel Bakery. So they would pretty much get 100% of the profits unless that became a problem and we needed to take a percentage.
Okay, one last question. With the Monterey Peninsula curfew, how would we make sure that teens and kids that are maybe not with their parents get home in time for that curfew?
Well, it wouldn't be an event that necessarily goes till 11 o'clock or whatever the curfew is, but it would start right before sunset, which is usually around like 6:30, maybe go till like 8 p.m. So if people linger, that's more of their decision, not the actual bonfires.
Thank you. How many people do you expect would come to this event bi-weekly?
Hard to tell. I mean, it would be, I'm not really sure of that question. I didn't think about that question, but I think it would be more just based on the amount of publicity we give it, like how we advertise it at Carmel High and just like through Folktail and Carmel Bakery, and just a matter of advertising. So.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Thank you.
Next, Leah Sibley will present as our police chief.
Awesome, thanks. Okay. So I'm here to present on behalf of the police department about our proposed jet skis. So what's the issue? So our issue is that the police officers need a more efficient way and to be able to save swimmers, boaters, surfers, and just other people in the water from dangerous situations like rip currents and other things that are happening in the water. So like I said, the people affected are the surfers who are out there swimming in the riptides as long as the swimmers, and then boaters even farther out in the water. Okay, so why do we want jet skis to solve this problem? So jet skis are faster than boats, so we would be able to not only get into the water faster, but once we are in the water, because the places that these riptides are, most of the time it's shallower water, so a boat isn't necessarily able to reach them. Same thing like someone without a boat or a jet ski, it's challenging to reach them because then they may be brought into the riptide. And then jet skis are also less expensive than boats, so to buy them to start, and then also to transport them and maintain them, it's less expensive, so it's also saving us money. And then in the case of an emergency, they can be deployed quickly, and they're able to help more people. So this is kind of the breakdown of all the different costs. So in total, we're looking for about $45,000, and the breakdown of that is 2 jet skis, which to be police grade are about $15,000, and then along with that is a trailer to be able to transport that from the police department to the beach. And then they also need to be outfitted with different police equipment like radios and sirens and that kind of thing, as well as having towing ability and life vests for when the rescues actually do happen. And then we would also need to train officials to be able to operate these jet skis. So we were thinking that we train about 4 officers to start and then see how it goes, and that's about $1,000 per officer. So just in summary, we're looking for $45,000 to buy this equipment to hopefully be able to save more people from different riptide situations. And normally there are at least 2 to 3 of these situations a year. And about 2 weeks ago, there were 4 people caught in a riptide. So this is an issue that's happening right now. And then, are there any questions?
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions?
I do have a question. Besides just the training, does the total cost of this idea include the possible extra insurance or safety measures for each officer?
So that wasn't included into that cost. I'm not fully sure what that is. I think at the trainings, the police officers, they definitely get certified, but that insurance would be something we'd need to look into to see if that's an additional cost.
I have a question. What are the regulations with jet skis since Monterey is a marine sanctuary? How can we make sure that the jet skis aren't affecting marine life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we definitely, since we don't have jet skis right now, there would definitely need to be policies put in place regarding to that, also working with those organizations that manage the marine environment. So I think also at the training, they would be able to learn more information, and then with that information, we'd be able to move forward to put policies into place along those lines.
Really, really big question here. Have you considered lifeguards?
Yes, so the lifeguards, this isn't their only, the police department is also responsible. It's not only the lifeguards responsible. So we would probably be able to work with them. And I think it could, even if this became something, we could also train the lifeguards to run the jet skis.
Are there any other questions? I have a question. How right now is the police department saving people from the water?
It's a great question. I believe they're using boats and then also just going in themselves because we don't have jet skis right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ruby Aranmanesh is now up as our community planning / building director.
Hi, my name is Ruby Aranmanesh. I am the Community Building and Planning Director, and when my slideshow loads, I will tell you a little about a program that we want to install. Okay, so this program is called the Teen Technology Mentors Program. Where do we point it? what is this program? So this is essentially a paid internship that is partnering with Carmel High School and giving students the opportunity to teach and host workshops to residents and teach them about technology-related topics. For example, they can talk about AI, how to detect AI, or they can even go more into depth with social media and talk about some helpful apps that residents can use. Because at the end of the day, it's really important. Technology is a topic that's just becoming bigger and bigger, and I think it's crucial for people to learn about it because it's taking over the world, whether you agree or not. And I think residents should know how it works and how to operate types of technology. Okay, so the goals of our program and the reason why we want to implement this program is because of three things. The first thing is because it gives Carmel High teenagers the opportunity to have a teaching experience. I know there are a lot of students at Carmel High who are either really interested in technology or they want to pursue teaching eventually. And so this gives them the opportunity to teach residents and to interact with people while talking about something they're passionate about. Next, it will improve the tech literacy among the community. As I just stated, technology is becoming a really important topic that people should know about. And since a lot of Carmel-by-the-Sea residents are older, many of them don't really know how to operate technology. And so it's important that we improve the tech literacy in the area. Lastly, it will create a connection between students and residents. I think this is really important because when a student is teaching a resident about a topic, they will be able to bond and it will just be able to bring the community together a little more. Okay, so obviously in order to have this program, we need a space. So in this picture, you can see a typical classroom. It would just be a classroom size with most likely similar measurements to that photo. And just so we would be able to have the program in a suitable environment, and eventually if it succeeds, we can maybe use the classroom for other workshops, for other topics. Okay, so there are three main things that require cost. The first one is construction. So after doing a bit of research, I learned that in order to build a space similar to what we want, it costs between $150,000 and $200,000. So we chose about roughly $175,000. And then next, you need to be able to run the program. This means we need materials like computers and whiteboards, and then we also need to be able to pay our interns. Thankfully, Carmel-by-the-Sea actually has available grant money that we can use for those last two things. So we will mainly only be focused on getting money for construction. Okay, so this is basically supposed to be a summary slide, but to summarize, this is a program to give Carmel High School students the opportunity to have a paid internship and teach residents about technology-related topics in our area to create a better bond between residents and students and to improve tech literacy. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Does the council have any questions?
I did. What would the qualifications need to be for high school students?
So you'd have to apply. Obviously, you'd have to have a resume, and depending on how many applications we would get, we'd get someone qualified to look over the applications. You'd obviously need to be well known about, like you need to know about technology, whether it's you've taken a computer science class and interested in teaching. You'd have to have qualifications related to teaching.
All right. In the event that this project sustains and grows, besides the grant money from Carmel-by-the-Sea, how do you plan to fund it in the future?
So we could definitely look into getting donations. We could do fundraisers, get sponsors if it grows. And then since it will essentially be growing, we can host new workshops, like for art, for example. And so you can get someone who's interested in art to give a donation to help sustain the program.
I have a question. I know you mentioned being very inclusive and connecting ourselves as a community and our students to our elder community as well. Why is this just a Carmel High School student thing, and have we thought about including Carmel Valley High School?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, at first I just thought Carmel High School would be the place to go first because it's really close by and it's in Carmel-by-the-Sea, but definitely we could reach out to Carmel Valley High School. I think that's a really good point.
So the way I read it, essentially all of your money is being spent towards constructing the center. Is there a way that we could partner with a building that we maybe already have in Carmel? I know we have, some centers up there that, use a daycare or teach kids. Is there a way we could sort of partner with that and lower the cost? Because I feel like that's a large cost that maybe we could lessen if we could just reuse another building.
Yeah, we can totally reuse another building. I know there's a lot of available space. It's just as community building and planning director, I first want to install a building, but if we already have space available, why not reuse? Why not already use the stuff we have? And so, yes, we will definitely look into any space that we're not currently using and potentially turn it into a classroom.
What space would you be thinking of? Where would you be thinking of building the building?
Most likely in downtown Carmel, how the shops are all kind of lined up. It'd be sort of like that. It would just be a different sign, obviously, but definitely downtown Carmel because that's central.
One last question. Would there be a training process for the interns that they'd have to go through to know what they're supposed to teach the other people?
Yeah, so it could be a few-day training process after school, obviously, because students will be in school, and it would just be someone teaching them how to engage, how to teach the residents, and go over the curriculum, and just basic training.
And I'm sorry, I have one last quick question. Who's going to supervise this and the students?
We're going to find someone who's qualified, who has prior teaching experience to supervise the students enough where they can do it on their own, and then there'll still be someone watching, but essentially it would be the students.
I have one question. Would that supervisor be paid, and is that cost for the supervisor a part of the total cost that you told us before?
Yeah, if we could find someone who would volunteer just to do the training and supervise at the beginning, that would be ideal, but yeah, we would definitely include their payment with the available grant money if we have enough.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hallie Crabb will present next as our Public Works Director.
Hello, my name is Hallie, and today I'll be going over the Quiet Courts Initiative. I have it on a flash drive too, if you need it. Okay, hello. So I'll be going over the Quiet Courts Initiative, which is something. Okay, so what's the issue? You might be wondering. Well, these courts are located in a quiet residential area with homes sitting about 30 feet above them. Because of the elevation, the sound from the courts travels upwards and echoes. Pickleball is much louder than tennis, and the sharp, repetitive popping noise has led to many neighbor complaints. In response, the city limited play to Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. But even with those restrictions, nearby residents still feel disrupted. So who does it affect? Well, the noise from the pickleball courts is impacting several different groups in the community. The nearby homeowners are directly exposed to the constant noise, and they've been the most vocal about it. City workers have had to deal with ongoing complaints from residents, which adds pressure to the work. And lastly, the pickleball players themselves are affected by the restricted play hours, limiting their times on the courts. So here are where the courts are currently located. So the tennis courts are still there, but they put the pickleball courts on top of them and drew in lines, and so it's very noisy. And so the houses are surrounding it, which make it not like a canyon, but because it's lower than them, it really echoes, and the sharp popping noise is very noisy. So what's the solution? Our solution is to build a brand new pickleball courts at Forest Hill Park. Using the space where the basketball courts currently is, we'd slightly expand that area by removing 2 trees, which would give us just enough room to fit 2 full-size pickleball courts side by side. So here's where the new location would be. And those are the 2 trees that we'd remove, and it's right by a bathroom. And it is, okay. Oh wait, sorry. This project would be environmentally friendly. To exchange, we'll be planting 2 new trees to make that up for the previous 2. And then to help with the noise, the courts would be surrounded by pickle glass, a clear material that keeps the sound in but still allows visibility from the outside so things feel safe and open. We'd also add a roof over the courts to help reduce echo and block some of the sound from reaching the surrounding areas. This plan doesn't move the courts far from homes, but it does create a more controlled environment. It helps to reduce noise, eases the pressure on city staff dealing with complaints, and gives players a better space to play. And then this is the location. Okay, and then this is the distance between the courts, and so it's just down the street on Unibrow. And so it won't be much of a different commute for the pickleball players to come play locally. Here's an example of what the complex would look like. It would be 2 courts with a width of 20 feet and 10 feet in between the courts, and then length of 44 feet is the pickleball courts with 10 feet in between the walls in them. And yeah. So and it's surrounded by pickle glass. It would go all the way up. It's not very clear though. It makes it look like it's short, but AI didn't fully make it up. So to dive deeper into what pickle glass is, it is a clear, strong material that helps keep the noise in while still letting people see into the courts for safety. The photo I'm showing gives an idea of what it would look like, but our design would include a roof to help block even more sound and provide weather protection. The new courts would be open daily from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., giving players plenty of time to play while they're still respecting quiet hours. Automated locks would secure the area after hours, helping prevent any late-night noise or misuse. Since there are currently bathrooms in the park, we wouldn't need to worry about adding new facilities, which keeps the project simpler and more cost-effective. So this is the cost breakdown. We are estimating this project would be around $220,000. That's on the high side. We're not 100% sure, but that would include 2 new pickleball courts, pickle glass, roof, 2 tree removals, planting 2 trees, and the locks. While it's a big investment, it helps solve the noise issue, creates a better space for players, and shows we're thinking about both the community and the environment. Our recommendation is to approve $220,000 to construct 2 sound-controlled pickleball courts at Forest Hill Park, including roof, pickle glass walls, automated locks, and tree planting. Thanks. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions?
I just have a quick question on the location. Is it moved down by Woodchip Park, down the street, like in that area?
Yeah, that's Forest Hill Park.
Okay.
Woodchip Park.
Sorry, I know it's Woodchip Park, but yeah.
So it's just like down the street.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question I think all of us are wondering about. Since this is completely enclosed, how are you going to deal with ventilation and air flow and keeping the space clean?
So there will be 4 doors on each corner. There's a door like on the 2 sides, and there will be double doors open. So the doors can be open, but it's still enclosed enough to where the sound won't get out. And then there will also be fans and airflow, and then which was all part of the $220,000. That's why it's a little high, because it includes all the amenities. And then there's already someone that cleans the bathrooms and like keeps the park up to date, and so that person with the money, we can like pay them more to just like check on the place. And then it's also clear, so that when cops are like driving by, they like know it's happening inside, you know, so it's like outdoor.
Did you say that this operates at all times of the day and night?
No.
No?
I said it operates from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that is what the locks are for. No one will have to go in and like lock it. It has automated locks that would lock at daytime and nighttime. And it's clear so people can see and to make sure there's no one left in there.
If it has automated locks, who's going to unlock the courts to allow everyone to get in?
So they're automated, so that means it's a time, it'll be time, and at 5 p.m. it'll lock it, and at 7 a.m. it'll unlock it.
Can people, what if they stay past the time, do they just get locked in?
No, so the walls are clear, and when like cops drive by, they can notice that, and if they notice that someone's in there, they can go unlock the door and let them out.
I have a question. Do you think there might be something better for our cops to do than driving around the pickleball courts around opening and closing time, or do you think we should hire like some sort of security?
Well, I'm pretty sure that cops already drive around downtown Carmel to patrol the area to make sure it's safe, and this is a common street that people drive on, and so it could just be part of their rounds.
So you said the walls are going to be made of pickled glass, right? So just like out of curiosity, with like Carmel's high winds and like common storms that we have, how are we going to make sure that nothing breaks the glass? And like, how can we ensure public safety with that?
It's a very thick material that is built. It's built for outdoor use. It's not like it's water resistant, and it's built for outdoor use. And there'll be a roof over the top too to make sure nothing gets weathered too much.
How long do you think construction on this would take?
We're thinking, well, it has to get approved first by the city, and that could take a couple of weeks, but then after that, then it could take 2 to 4 months. So it won't have too much impact on the residents living nearby.
What about those basketball players?
So that court is not currently used very, like, ever. And and so I feel like this would be a better use out of that space. And it also uses the grassland, which is right next to the courts.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Hallie.
Drew Galley will present next, representing library and community activities.
My name is Bella Moe, obviously. And I'm not taking credit for this presentation. As you can see, it is by Bella Moe, who could not make it. My idea, her idea, Bella's idea is to do a holiday season market. Pictures for reference. This would happen at Devendorf Park, or in the event that that is not available, Sunset Center or an outdoor courtyard. My add-on was maybe blocking off Ocean Avenue and having Ocean Avenue have this holiday market. Dates and times would be probably December 6th through 8th, or the weekend of the Christmas tree lighting, and it would be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Activities and events would include local vendors and artisans, hot cocoa and cider booth run by the library or local students and parents. It'll include live music, a kids corner, and a photo spot. Setup would start Thursday afternoon and full setup by Friday noon. Teardown would end Sunday night from 4 to 7. Public works staff and student volunteers. Security and maintenance crew with daily cleanup. Marketing would include flyers in local businesses, posters around town, in school, posts and stories on social media, newspapers, local newspapers, and it would be put in school bulletin, Friday show, and word of mouth. And parking would include Sunset Center parking lot, Mission Street, and the parking garage. Very there. Logistics and operations would cost $46,000, supplies $32,000, advertising and marketing $6,500, entertainment and activities $9,500, shuttle service $3,000, staffing and employment $12,500, with a grand total coming to about $109,500, which is half of Hallie's pickleball courts. The benefits of this event would include supporting local artists and small businesses, creating a family-friendly holiday experience for residents and visitors, and boosting tourism and shopping downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions?
I do have a question. I'm noticing a lot of similarities to the Christmas tree lighting that we have every year. So what makes this event more unique and I would say more beneficial for our town to have?
Yeah, I think Bella's idea was to piggyback off of the Christmas tree lighting and have more of just a better event with more to do, because I don't know about you, but if you're not into music or you get bored by it a little bit, there's not much else to do downtown. So I think just having those shopping booths or tents available near that time would help bring those tourists and help give those shops around some more business. And also it would last that weekend. So it would be over a bigger duration of time for tourists to stay and have fun.
Just to follow up, is there any way we could incorporate the two events to reduce expenses of doing two separate ones?
Yeah. Yes. Of course. I'm all about lowering prices. Yes.
I had a question about the time that we'd be doing it. I noticed that you said it'd be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Do you think there'd be a benefit of doing it at night so that way, like the entire addition of having lights and Christmas lights, do you think that'd be better if we had that at night so people can see it?
I do think that it would be better to incorporate a nighttime into that, yes.
I'm seeing a lot of Christmas specific stuff. How are we going to be able to accommodate those in the community who maybe don't celebrate Christmas?
Good question. I'm sure we could set up some booths with some other religion activities to be more inclusive. None are coming to me off the top of my head, but those. And no, that's it. I don't have anything else.
I just wanted to clear up one thing. So you said we would be mixing in between public works staff and high school students doing community service. Are the high school students actually going to be staffing these activities, or is it going to be a mix, or is it going to be all public works? How is that going to be differentiated?
Not to put more on public works, but public works.
It seems pretty expensive to me for just one weekend. Would it be the whole weekend or just one day?
The whole weekend. For that price? Okay. Yeah, the whole weekend.
Okay.
And I'm sure we could lower it. This is probably like Hallie's presentation, the maximum. I'm hoping. Is this inflation? Yeah, I think we could probably take down the advertising and marketing, maybe the operations, just lower that a bit somehow. Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, yeah.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Okay. We will now open public comment on this agenda item. Anyone can step forward and comment on any of these presentations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. 50-year resident of Carmel-by-the-Sea, so as you know, that means my opinion means more than anyone who's lived here less time than me. So if anyone gets up here and talks as less than 50 years, my opinion means more than theirs does. I just want to go back to the first item. I'm a little concerned about this parking what's-a-whoozy that has all this technology associated with it. I know a little bit about this. I come from the tech industry originally, and that's how I can afford to live here. These systems use a lot of what's called license plate reader technology, or LPR technology. And I worry that all this is going to be doing is collecting people's data and storing it in some secret base where you and our other city officials can use it to track us here in the city. So I would encourage you to ask the staff member that presented that maybe to talk about how you're going to protect our information that's being collected by this, I think, rather secret information gathering tool. So thank you.
Thank you.
There will be no information collected from the sensors. And also, this is the other reason why I proposed non-camera sensors, because they do not collect any information. They just sense if a car is parked in the spot or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Council, Paul Tomasi, just moved here about a year ago. Couple questions on 3 of the items. The first one is the parking sensors. I'm hoping that it does track people, and I'd really like to see it integrated. I'd really like to see it integrated to alert the parking department when someone is parked over the time limit that it's supposed to be. Is there any way we can do that so they can actually do more effective parking enforcement? So that's my first question. Holy cow, what are these 3 questions? The second one is on the, oh shoot, what are the topics? We got parking, jet skis is great. Oh, the beach fires. Boy, I just moved here, but that's been a topic for many years, beach fires, going back and forth. I really like the idea because I think there's an opportunity there to get the community out on the beach and have something that brings the community together. But my suggestion for that is to use city-supplied propane fire pits so you don't have the smoke issue. And then you could have about 10 of those out there so you could have the community just gather around them. And that's a better way to get people to mingle rather than have people out there lighting fires on the beach, which has been a big issue here. The third one is the jet skis. I think, you know, our police chief, amazing job looking out for people. I think it's a great idea in a way that it doesn't have to be used just by the police. It could be used by all first responders on the beach. We do have a lot of people who get caught in riptides, and that is a reoccurring issue. I'd like to see the jet skis maybe on the beach for weekends and holidays so they're easily accessible to be used. And if you did have it in your budget to supply us with a full-time lifeguard or police officer that could be stationed at the beach during daytime hours, that would help in rescuing people. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for the other question. The sensors would be able to detect if a car has stayed over their time limit, but at that point they would alert the police department and it would be in their hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with the propane-fired bonfire pits, I actually spoke about that with my person in Miss Fields. Shout out her. But we talked about how instead of having like one big bonfire for the whole community to share, it would be the propane tanks. That's what the cost that I included in my overall $6,000. That included using the trailer to haul all of those pits down onto the beach. So that was included in the cost, assuming that we use those. And then in terms of those are able to be rented or not like checked out to the community basically already, like currently. So people can be using those, they just don't know about it. So that's something that should be publicized. But also when we have these events, we would be reserving those pits. So yes.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Maddie. I have a question about the marketing, like the holiday market. Do we need a shuttle service if we're going to be parking and everything's kind of close together? Because I saw that was taking up some money.
I did not know of such shuttle service. Probably not. I thought we could advertise it as a pedestrian type of thing where cars are not really allowed downtown. Well, no, never mind. But no, probably no shuttles, I'd guess. Just to lower costs, because that's important.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing no further public comments at this time, we will now close public comment. We now open discussion for the council and make a motion and second. So if the council members would like to discuss, you are allowed to.
So the first thing I'd like to discuss would be the police chief's proposition of including jet skis. I think safety should be one of our top priorities in the community, so I think that would be a great new addition. I definitely think that we should look into one of the public comments of having a permanent lifeguard to be on duty. The only issue that I would see with this is, obviously a drastic increase to the cost, because you need to look at the cost to hire somebody, life insurance, just all of that. So I think that's a good thing to look at. I don't know, I want to hear the rest of everybody's opinions on this, but that's where I'd like to start off.
I would agree with Colin, and I do think that hiring a person who is there all day and is able to access anyone who is in a life-threatening emergency is worth spending the money on. I do think that it would save more lives, it would make people feel more safe, and it would just be more ethical in this situation.
Something else I'd like to bring up is a couple of these things are definitely not necessarily like tourist attractions, but they would bring a lot of good business and revenue to our town that kind of helps to return the favor and like get some cost back. And so I wanted to say, like, specifically when it talks about like the bonfire and raising money for our local companies, whether it's like Carmel Bakery and their s'more kits, I thought that was both like efficient and good to raise some money.
I agree. I think that it's good to be able to bring revenue back into the city. I think that another good one was the parking spots and checking parking spots, especially since it would also help the police be able to see when people are overparked, and it would just be helpful because it's hard to figure out where people should park, and so it would be sort of a live update for people, and I think that would be really helpful for not only residents but also tourists.
Not biased or anything, but I totally love the holiday market idea. If we could possibly lower costs and involve all religions and holidays at that time, but I also think with Councilmember Cindy's point, it will bring a lot of more tourism and revenue towards locals to benefit the city and its dwellers.
The only hesitation I have with the holiday market is that One thing that's really special about the Christmas tree lighting is kind of like a very like small town, cute, like quaint event, and I don't want to have any of that get taken away by this holiday market, because I know that Carmel really likes to maintain like its small town reputation. So maybe if there was a way to kind of like merge the two or a little bit, or add something on to the Christmas tree lighting, just so that we can kind of save that tradition and not have it be overminded.
I agree with Councilmember Cindy and Councilmember Drew. I think that it would be actually a great idea to have both the bonfire and possibly an incorporation of the Christmas tree lighting and the holiday market, because I think that we're going to be having these community building events both kind of in the summertime and then again during Christmas and in the winter. And I think that would be like two positive ways throughout the year to really build our community and have everyone get together. And I do think that it would be a good idea to consider incorporating both the two, because I do agree with Cindy in that the tree lighting does kind of hold a huge value in this town. And I think that maybe incorporating small businesses to giving them more opportunities to sell their products at the Christmas tree lighting, that could be a possible way to even make it more of a bigger event, but for the people in our town.
Also, since the cost of the beach bonfire for the whole year would only be $6,000, I think that we could definitely lower the cost of the event during the winter time as well, because I don't think that everything needs to be in it if we're gonna make the tree lighting like the main focal point of the event.
Yeah, so I mean, our surplus is $315,000. I don't think it's completely necessary to spend all of it right now. I think there's a lot we could do to just save some of the money for either future purposes, future projects, or if there's like emergencies in the future. So I think that's something to think about. And then I'm not gonna make Hallie come back up here, but I think there could be a lot to be said about just putting the pickle glass around the current courts. I mean, if we're already focusing on noise cancellation, essentially, I don't know if completely relocating the courts is completely necessary. I think if we're already installing and creating these new courts, I think we could do so with what we have currently, if that's okay with the community. So, yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that might just make it even more expensive, because I know like if you've been to those tennis courts, it's like a large area, and I wouldn't want to get rid of the tennis courts like completely and totally turn them into pickleball courts. That's the only thing.
I think
they are current pickleball courts.
No more tennis courts at all?
I think currently they're pickleball courts.
I am a resident of that area. They are pickleball courts. But yes, I do think that the construction to even put the pickle glass would be a little bit disruptive to those around, which is definitely something to consider.
I think also we could alter the beach bonfires, like the bi-weekly. We could like change it, because I feel like a lot of people wouldn't want to go to the beach at nighttime a lot during the winter time, and also when it's colder. So we could alter it to be more of like a community building thing in the city as well, instead of just having, so that could sort of become the event around the Christmas tree lighting. I think would be easier and much less expensive.
Also, to comment on Ruby's project, I think we could totally turn that into a volunteer opportunity for students at our school and others, because that is honestly a great way to educate the community on tech, and give the students the teaching opportunities that it gives, and give them volunteer hours at the same time. And we could also put it somewhere that already exists instead of creating a whole new building. So someone get on that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to second what Councilmember Drew said, in that I feel like $175,000 to build a classroom when we already have facilities able to hold that program is just, I feel like it's a large amount of money that doesn't necessarily have that same turnaround.
This is just an idea, but is there any way we could host some of these workshops actually at Carmel High? Because if Carmel High students are wanting to volunteer, then we could save money that way. if we don't want to spend $175,000 on the new building, but that's just an idea.
Additionally, I'm no like city and land developer, but I can imagine like the permitting process in Carmel is pretty difficult, so I feel like that would just take like a long time. So that might just cause some delay.
Okay, so are there any that we for sure would want to approve for right now? Are there any ones that we have a consensus on?
It seemed that everybody was in agreement upon like introducing the jet skis, and then the only problem with that is we don't know the actual full cost of that currently. So it could be something that we implement now, just getting the jet skis, and then communicate more with the police department to see what steps they would want to take with hiring new personnel to help with that. And then the other one that we could do is the bonfire. I mean, it's such a small amount of money, and it could open doors to a lot of the other projects that we want to help with. And obviously community building is very important. So I think those two are fairly reasonable to approve now.
Would we want to do the bonfire just for 1 year, or would we allot a period of years that we'd want to?
I think we should start with 1 year and see how the community responds to this new event, and then we could go further from there.
Additionally, with just these two items, we're looking at anywhere from like $50,000 to $60,000, and so we still have like a bunch of money to play with. So that could also like help with if we want to add like a full-time position of a police officer lifeguard situation for the jet ski proposal.
Yeah, I'd just like to bring up the parking sensors one more time, because I felt like there was a lot of support for that. I feel like that's a really good idea. It benefits, the community, it benefits tourists, right? It would just make everyone's lives a lot easier. So I think we should also revisit that. I think that's a fair sum for the product that we're getting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of aspects that are really helpful for the parking, and I feel like it would be a good thing to add on, especially since we do have quite a bit more than right now we're allotting from the total amount that we can spend.
I would agree. I like the idea of bringing in the parking sensors.
I like the idea as well, but would we consider doing the camera sensors, or would we do the ones that are underneath the spots? Because I believe Sophie said, would there be more construction for the ones underneath the spots, and would that be closing roads? Like, would it cause a lot of traffic in town? Like, we have to consider those aspects as well before we decide which ones to choose. Or is that something that we can decide later and we just approve it now?
I'd say let's make a motion soon, because some people have practice. So would anyone like to make a motion?
I don't think you asked that.
I'll make a motion to approve the parking spot sensors.
I second.
Clerk Gallagher, can we get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Pritchard?
Yes.
Councilmember Moreau?
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Blessing?
Yes.
Mayor Norman?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Would anyone like to make another motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bonfire.
I second that.
Councilmember Pritchard?
Yes.
Councilmember Moreau?
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Blessing?
Yes.
Mayor Norman?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
And would anyone like to make another motion?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve the purchasing of the jet skis.
I second that.
Councilmember Pritchard?
Yes.
Councilmember Moreau?
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Blessing?
Yes.
Mayor Norman?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Is there any other motion that would like to be made?
I'm just going to tell you. So currently we've spent $111,000 of our surplus. So I mean, if we want to make one more motion for one of the projects, I'm not sure which one that would be, but if we want to discuss that further, we can, or just save the funding for the future.
If we did do the community and planning project at Carmel High School, would it be like significantly less money? And so we wouldn't have to spend very much on it?
Yeah, so since Ruby explained how all the money for the other things other than the construction is coming from grants, I think that's basically saying that our only major cost is the construction of a new building. So I think finding a way to have it be done at the school would completely make it a free program, I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know.
And additionally, if we're not spending $175,000 to build something, if we did eventually run out of grant money or needed more money for, say, like full-time supervision or something, we could have the flexibility for that.
I do think it is something that we have to discuss with the staff at Carmel High and definitely like the ASB teacher as well, because I don't think that we can have a motion before they approve us kind of bombarding their school and inviting the whole community in, but I do think that it is a good idea to consider for the future.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion or no?
Sure. I motion to approve this new program to our budget. I don't know.
I second that.
Councilmember Pritchard.
Yes.
Councilmember Moreau.
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan.
Yeah, yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Blessing.
Yes.
Mayor Norman.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Would anyone like to make any other motions? Okay. Since there's no more further business, we can adjourn the meeting.